How to grow stamvrug from seed. You can start with unripe fruits and ripe fruits. Um, the maturity of the fruit doesn't really matter too much as long as the seed is somewhat developed inside. Although this will mean that the seed is more prone to desiccation, and which means it dries up very quickly, and that can kill the seed. First step, you need to remove the actually should talk about storing these. The fruits with the flesh on, that have hard shells over the seeds, that are all the mature fruits, basically. Those can be stored for a couple weeks with the flesh on. About 4 weeks. Well, yeah, about 4 weeks. And these should be the younger fruits should be well, as soon as you get them, you should um, remove the flesh and remove the seed coat and try to germinate them, because they're usually very likely to be parasitized, which you can tell by this little drop of latex where the insect larvae has entered the fruit and burrowed into the seed. It looks kind of like a little bit of bird poop, basically. And so when you remove the flesh of these older seeds, you'll end up with a seed that looks like this, with a hard seed coat. And these, you should actually let them dry for just a little bit until there's enough space for you to give an indent and crack the seed, like with a little bit of pressure. And then you can stick the knife in there. But if it's already quite for dried enough, there should be enough space just to take the seed out. There we go. And stick the knife in there if you have to. And there we go. Have the seed. And these seeds are very rot resistant. So even though most of them are parasitized, and some of them are like missing half of it's been eaten. As long as the end of the seed where the embryo is still intact and hasn't been split, it will still germinate. Well, it has a lower chance, has a higher chance of rotting, but it will still germinate. And all you need to do to germinate these is to place them in some moist, wet tissue paper. Somewhere cool. You can stick them outside if you have a lid over it, but it is preferable to have something over to stop dust settling in the container or anything like that and prevent fungal spores. But that isn't necessarily. Well, it's not necessary because they are highly rot resistant, and so they have a very high germination rate. And once the seeds have started to germinate, they can be at this stage or further along in the process with the two cotyledons flipped open, and it's starting to grow a stem. What is important though is when you plant the seed, you should not bury the whole seed below soil, because this root gear will never develop a stem above it, so it cannot push itself out of the soil. So you should always bury it with just the tip in the soil on one side, so the other cotyledon can flip over, or on its side like this, so that the stem can go through in between the two cotyledons. As long as the root is in the ground and it's kept moist, the root will develop into a very, very long taproot. So this causes a problem when you're growing them in containers, because this taproot becomes so long, it's easily damaged when it's exposed to air, and this harms the plant. So I have not had any success growing them in containers for any long period of time. I suggest, I think is the best idea to do is to actually direct sow them in the spot that you would like to grow the tree. This can be tedious because you need to keep them quite moist in the beginning. Though they are very hardy once, like after a month or so, once the this very fast growing taproot has developed. Oh, and one thing I forgot to say is, if the seed contains any worms or anything, or any other if any other parasites, the easiest way to kill them is just to stick the seeds in water and let them soak for about 2 days, and that will kill the worm fairly quickly because they cannot survive in water. And then you could just take a stick or a toothpick, and you could clean the droppings out and all the gunk, and then you could just stick them in tissue paper, and that works well.